Welcome to the Saturation Podcast, where we have discussions with church leaders about the life of faith and the mission of the church. I am here with Dwight Smith. Dwight, we are going to talk about a topic that I thought that the title, it's coming from a blog post of yours. By the way, the blog post can be found at dwightpaulsmith.com. But I was struck by this blog. It was a few months ago. But you titled it The Benefit of, and I'd like these two words together, effective anonymity. The benefit of effective anonymity. And so I thought the listeners of this podcast would benefit from you sharing some of those thoughts on this episode and thinking about the important implications of effective anonymity. Mm-hmm. Now, in setting it up, you say that you wrote this article to correct this thought. And here's the thought you were trying to correct. The bigger and more public our ministry, the more faithful we are. And you have identified that as a challenge and a problem in the Western church especially. And so you say, right or wrong in my assessment, I have had to correct these thoughts in my own life, and I've come to a growing conclusion that church leadership is best served by what I call effective anonymity. And so before I list how we can protect ourselves from this article, I'll just give you an opportunity to speak off the cuff a bit, because this is your thought, and I'm just reading back to you. But tell me a little bit more about your thinking behind it, and then we'll get to how this helps.
There's three motivations for it. Number one is the conviction that the outcome of leadership is the faithfulness of people.
The outcome of leadership is the faithfulness of people. Okay.
That we are constantly working in the midst to make sure that they're not tossed to and fro, that they understand orthodoxy, that they're living within it, they're hearing it regularly, but more importantly, they're growing in their relationship with God through the Word of God, ministered by the Spirit of God.
Yeah, okay.
So if that's the outcome, the outcome is not a church on a corner with a bunch of people. The outcome is not a worship service that everybody loved, a sermon that was dynamic.
Those are means to an end, but that's not the end itself.
They may be means to an end. They may not be.
You won't even give me that.
They may not be means to an end. But we hope they are.
We hope they are. All right.
But eventually, you have to ask yourself the question, with what number of people doing nothing with their faith will I be satisfied?
Yeah.
And most people that I've ever said that to, they understand that's a good question, and that's true. But the answer is never very healthy.
No. I mean, we know it's a leading question. We want it to be 0%.
We know that minimal people actually spend time regularly with God in His Word. We know that a minimal number of people understand their spiritual gift that are using it. A minimal number of people are actually stewarding their assets for the kingdom of God. A minimal number of people have their heart set on eternity. So we know those are all struggles with maturing people in the faith of Jesus Christ. But that's my motivation. If that's my first outcome, then I need to be careful how that gets pursued. The second thing was that when I moved out of, it's been more than 25 years now, when I moved out of it, the last really infrastructure organizational position I had, and began to organize the SCP Global Fellowship, which is not an organization. It has some organization in it, but it is not an organization. It's a collection of people around the world who believe the same things and are willing to be accountable for it in their geography.
Right.
And I have no authority over them. They are independent, but they're independent and want to be interdependent with others like that. And that's been 25 years. I felt as if what God was saying to me, I still think it's true, but I felt as if He was saying to me, I want you to give up organizational leadership because I want you to give your time to, now in retrospect, I want you to give your time to the understanding, the articulation, the recording, and the dissemination of thoughts that I'm going to give you that will be placed in the hands of people all over the world who will take responsibility for those in their own way, in their own context, and nobody will know you did it. Now, that's not completely true. They know it, but most don't know it. Your picture's not going to be on the wall of any building, church building, or any, office building.
Your name is at the bottom of the book.
Yeah.
That's about it.
It's going to be minimal. Yeah. Because God said, you need to give yourself to what I believe is necessary. You need to identify, train, and empower a whole generation of leaders who will carry this vision decades after you're gone from this planet.
Yeah. And the vision being a biblical vision for
church
evangelization.
Leadership and evangelization. Yeah. The three come together.
I just want to clarify for those that don't know you. It's not this distinct, John Smith from the Mormon Church vision that you got. No, this is a biblical vision that Christians have been called to for 2,000 years.
In fact, it's not even a strategy. The word saturation church planting is a bit of a misnomer.
Yeah.
We captured it. It's known, and I would change it if I could. I'm not going to. But it really is a recalibration of what we think about church leadership and how that gets at world evangelization. Okay? The outcome being the gospel in every place, small nook and cranny of the world that can be lived, incarnated, and declared.
Yep.
And I think early on, God was preparing me with the fact, I don't need you to lead an organization. You've done that. I don't need you to lead a church. You've done that. I don't need you to preach. Done that. What I need you to do is inspire a whole generation of people. And that will take less observable, smaller numbers, probably. Now, sometimes getting at the smaller numbers is not. You have to have a bigger number to catch who's really interested and then give your time to the rest. Well, that's turned around to be true. But I just want you to be satisfied that when you leave this planet, you may be forgotten faster than everybody else. Mm-hmm. Because I don't need you to be recognized. I need you to be heard. Mm-hmm. And I will prepare the people who need to hear it. Mm-hmm. Now, in retrospect. Mm-hmm. So that thing became instructive for me, that it was okay that I wasn't in a church every Sunday, that I wasn't leading an organization, that you wouldn't be remembered dearly by all those people, great so-and-so, he was here, we loved him, we cherished him, his picture's right up there, and we've named this after him. None of that was going to happen, and that's okay. And then thirdly, I've observed the generation that is within 5 to 10 years from me, older or younger, and I've observed that they've done the opposite with their life. It seems to me that they have hung on to their position until they couldn't breathe anymore. And literally were physically not able to keep up with what they were doing, but they were so obsessed, apparently, from my point of view, to lead that organization, they kept at it.
Interesting.
Which then truncated, number one, the survival of the organization. It would go through hell getting beyond them. But number two, closed off a whole generation of other people who could have, in fact, been ready to step in long before they got out of the way. And then thirdly, taught people that I and my thoughts were more important than God and his thoughts. I had too big of a purview of the thing. And I could name those pretty quickly. I'm not going to name them because I don't like to name people.
Yeah, no need.
I do name concepts, but not people. And I just said, God said to me, nope, that's not what I want. I want you to learn it early. You don't do it again. Look at your compatriots. They're going to put the church through hell, and there's no reason to do that. And it's not interdependency. It's not the fact that leadership is always more than one. It's multiple. It gets done by a lot of good people. And I need you to be multiple voices in the midst of my people because I need my people to trust me, not you. Have faith that you're being faithful, but not trust you. And so when you commit to that, you commit to anonymity.
Yeah.
But in my mind, that is effective anonymity.
Well, I love how you paired the two words together. It's not merely anonymity. It's effective anonymity. And both of those words are important with what you're trying to convey.
I think it's the best of what it means to empower the saints to do the work of the ministry, because in our generation, especially in the West, you fool yourself if you're thinking a gathering empowers people. People are empowered relationally. And how many people can you empower relationally? A seminar won't do it. All the other levels, beyond 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 people, whatever it is, they basically build information. Information can empower, but it can simply accumulate. So somehow that information has got to be put into action. And that's a dialogue of action. And that's where I think older people, that's why I think when you look at Paul talking to Timothy, hey, Tim, I want you to find some old men, and those old men inspire the young men, some older women inspire the younger women. There is this relational transfer and contact going on that isn't done at the great exuberance of the levels that we think it's done. And I think all of the demographics of Western Christianity demonstrate that that is true. So anything beyond 3 or 4, you're fooling yourself. But churches, they're already spending all their time and money on the gathering. So how in the world are they going to find this? So they're going to have to say to people, well, I know this isn't significant, and I know you won't be as important in this, but we need you to go do this. And I'm going to do this. And it's like, well, if I do this, it'll make it easier for you. No, in fact, if you do this, it'll make it harder because that person's not you. Well, I mean, upside down. Upside down. You know, growing people in faith is like growing children into adulthood. Yeah, Lord, give me 100 children. Yeah, well, have fun feeding them. Yeah? Much less growing them.
Yeah.
I don't think it's any different.
So you advocate then effective anonymity in this post.
Especially among older leaders.
Yeah.
Where are they?
Yeah.
Where are the men who can simply quietly go out there and sit down with the Levi's all over the world? Oh, no, I'm busy.
One is here in the recording studio right now.
Yeah, but we're busy. I can't do that. No, I've got to preach next Sunday. I got to do my sermon. I got to do my video. I've got to do my film. It's like, what are you doing? You're not transferring faith to people. You're just transferring information and protecting position. I'm scared for you because I'm scared for the generation, which needs a massive influx of energy, faith, and mobilization. We talked about that in a meeting we were in a while ago. A massive influx.
How do we get said influx of what'd you say, faith, energy? What was the other word you used?
I don't know.
Okay, whatever. How do we get
all
that?
Day.
But how do we get that?
By people like me stepping alongside and saying, no, it's time. I'll give you everything I can give you. Now get out there and move. Oh, and while I'm giving it to you, get out there and move. And having an expectation that even though you're young, you can do more than you think you can do if you're tethered to some maturity.
Yeah.
Not under the authority of, tethered to. Because I'm going to have to believe that you will be faithful. You're going to fail? Of course you're going to fail. But there'll be enough successes that the body of Christ can take a massive leap of presence in this nation. And that's what it needs. The gospel needs presence. And just because it's in a building, that's not presence. Its presence, it's in his people. And its presence is in his people who have expectations above the ordinary. Most Christians are called to live an ordinary life. That's great. But if we're going to see a restoration of any sense of gospel in this nation, we need a pretty good number of people who are disseminated, dispersed throughout the nation, who have a different level of expectation and will sacrifice for that and be the presence to collect 8, 10, 12, 15, 20 people in a place and get them postured, be the church in that place. I think.
Yeah. Well, you say...
History teaches me that, but we don't have time to go over all that, so that's fine.
Well, you identify 6 things that not only make us more effective, but also protect us from ourselves. I don't know if we'll walk through all 6, but one of them is remembering that we don't have all the gifts. And so part of effective anonymity, you're saying, like, we just need to come to that acknowledgement.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
You say, well, Dwight, why, of course not. That's dumb. Why do you say that? Well, because I've said it in seminars all over the world and actually had people say to me afterwards, don't you think the pastor has all the gifts? It's like, well, do you think the pastor is a schizophrenic? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
He's multiple personalities?
Yeah.
What are you telling me? Of course not.
Well, that's what you say here. You say most readily agree with the statement, But when you look under the hood of how we structure ourselves in relationship to others in leadership, the simple statement I inherited so many decades ago still prevails. The buck stops here with me.
Hey, as a young guy, I was told that. Those are the exact words.
Yeah, you borrowed
got
it
to
from
remember,
Truman,
young man,
President
the buck
Truman.
stops with you.
Yeah.
Really? Well, give me the buck. That's nonsense.
Yeah.
Early on, I don't know where I learned it. Early on, that was nonsense. Yeah. And it's the superstar mentality of this country. Yeah, there's 4 guys who play with you in basketball. It's not for you. We wouldn't win anything. It's like, get out of here.
With a superstar, yeah.
That's ridiculous. And we bring that into the church.
Yeah.
That's nonsense. And we structure the church that way. And strong men run the church that way.
Yeah.
This is my church, young man. Who do you think you are? I'm nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm going to stand equal with you in eternity. For all I know, my throne's going to be bigger than yours.
Yeah. I probably will be. I don't know. Well, you say we got to recognize we don't have all the gifts, but then you say that good decisions are best served by interdependence. It is fascinating to me how important interdependence is in relation to this phrase, effective anonymity. Elaborate on that.
Well, I mean, how can I be satisfied if I think that I have to do it all myself, and I'm willing now? God's saying, be an anonymous and be more effective in being anonymous, and not have other people carrying out all the things that I think I should have been doing, or could do.
Yeah,
but they get done better and more displaced, and in more places if I give myself to other people. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's easy.
Yeah,
it's just, what do you want? You have to ask the question, do I want effectiveness that produces faithfulness? Or do I just want an audience?
Yeah.
Well, nobody admit that's all they want. But in point of fact, if you measure, that's all they end up with.
Right.
Is an audience. But God's not going to hold people. God's not going to say to God, hey, it's great. You remember the audience. Come here and join me in my kingdom. You came to my audience regular enough for me to feel good about it. No, that's nonsense. Are you walking with me? Do you love me? Are you obeying me? Even if they're baby steps, are you moving down the path of faithfulness?
Yeah.
In today's world especially, it's really clear. It probably wasn't 100 years ago or 200 years ago because the society was different. The geography was different, but not today. We are still trying to do some things of 100 and 200 years ago that the geography and the sociology of the day will not support if we want to be effective.
What do you mean by that?
They maybe got together 4 or 5 times a week. The one voice was there, but there was always people. There was community. Everything you wanted was there. Regularity.
Meaning the culture reinforced some of the Christian values?
Because people lived in smaller domains.
Okay.
And so therefore church was a church.
So they didn't move around as much. They didn't travel as far. That's what you mean?
You go down to Buffalo, and how many Catholic churches are there within a pretty small square mile where they were all walkable?
Because they had to walk.
Yes, they were all walkable.
Yeah.
Not today.
Okay.
You can go anywhere you want.
Okay.
And so getting at faithfulness in people takes more relational intentionality, which demands smaller bite sizes, gatherings of people.
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying that the rest doesn't serve some form of orthodoxy.
Yeah, but allow it to serve the others.
Yeah. But I do think it has become a huge impediment. So big that maybe, just maybe, it needs to be deconstructed.
Yep.
If we can't get the outcome. I'm always held accountable to the outcome, to present every one of those people completely in Christ, perfect in Christ. That is a demand upon me. And if I see that's not happening, I don't need to beat myself. I don't need to berate the people. I need to ask the question, God, how can we find a structure that does that?
Yeah.
And pursue it?
And so, in addition to recognizing we don't have all the gifts then, hear you saying interdependency and complementing the larger gatherings with an underbelly of decentralized structures.
Yeah, loads of it.
Is there anything else that you would say to any leader, any church leader, about how to explore and implement effective anonymity a bit more effectively?
Well, I think one of the things you want to do is begin to test the fact of what happens when you find five people, 5 men, or you and your wife find 5 couples, and just give your life to them for a year and see what happens.
Yeah, that's a good application.
See if there's more traction to that without eliminating everything else, but see if there's more traction to that. And if you find more traction, you may have learned that our society needs more relational contact. It needs models. The brokenness in families in this nation is not going to be solved by a family seminar, a marriage seminar.
Yeah.
It's going to take people modeling healthy marriages in the midst of those who are in brokenness. It's going to take people with healthy marriages actually willing to intervene and give themselves to those who don't have it. And the ones that are most deconstructed in their lives is going to take longer. That's one of the reasons that the church I think is straining, is that there's so much corruption. That's not the right word. There is so much damage and pain in person and family, marriage and family, that what it takes to put it back together is so costly of time. The church doesn't have the time to do it. And it has the people to do it, but it has no idea how to mobilize its people. When so many of them are damaged, but those who aren't asked to. Don't think that they have any role in it. And so we end up with this need for young women to have an older woman in their midst, but you can't find an older woman. Or you have younger women who don't care to find it because they've been rewarded by religious organizational loyalty, which is a dangerous substitute. And so, the rising numbers, the numbers of divorce and brokenness are just off the chart inside the church. It's like, this is nonsense. You're not going to solve it by a seminar on marriage. Now, you can do that. Yeah. You can preach on it.
It can be helpful.
Yeah, you need to declare the environment with all these things. Yeah. But But all
the eggs can't be in that basket.
The relational cost is what scares the church. And it doesn't have, so therefore it doesn't have the motivation, and it doesn't have the structure, and it really doesn't have the ability to mobilize people who could be a part of that structure. And so it doesn't. Church doesn't know how to mobilize people for anything except program maintenance. And even with that, they struggle.
So, all right, effective anonymity. We've talked about interdependency, decentralization. You've also mentioned test it out. Invite 5 couples, connect with 5 individuals. Anything else you'd say to try to lean into this more? Well, you don't have to. You've said enough.
No, I think you have to ask the question, am I driven by the public or the private?
Meaning?
If I'm driven too much by the public, then that's a mistake.
Define the public. What do you mean?
That my value comes from my public involvement.
Okay. And then define private.
By that which I'm able to do in training leaders, forming people, and seeing something definitive happen. Yeah. Would I be satisfied with 12 men who maybe weren't going anywhere?
Yeah. 12 fishermen maybe? Or
well,
at least 5 fishermen, a tax collector, a treasurer. Yeah.
Would I be satisfied with 12 men and think I was going to conquer the world? That's effective anonymity. Yeah. Yeah, but he was the Son of God. He could heal some people.
That's also true.
Yeah, but how much change did the healing actually make? All it did was get an audience. Right. And even many of those people rejected him down the path. Yeah.
Well, I'm wondering with this episode, maybe if anyone's watching on like YouTube or watching the video, I'm thinking they should blur out our faces a bit and distort our voices just so that we could be anonymous. Maybe witness protection version of this.
That could be.
If it's only audio, maybe they can digitize it a little bit more, make us sound like we're in the movie
Photoshop
Trolls or something.
Somebody else's
Alvin
face.
and the Chipmunk, maybe speed us up to 3 times speed. But anyway, Dwight, as always, I appreciate your thoughts on this and many other things, and thankful for your mentorship and your friendship.
It's all in writing, so if I didn't say it correctly, go check it in writing.
That's right.
Don't hold me accountable.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Saturation Podcast, where we have discussions with church leaders about the life of faith and mission of the church. This podcast is produced by Saturation Church Planning. Saturation Church Planning exists to glorify God through partnering with church leaders in nations, regions, cities throughout the world towards the full evangelization of those places through the mobilization of the church. For more information, please visit scpglobal.org.